I got to read this for us because we have a of course, my phone is messing with me. Bill Barnwell wrote an article about how important it is to draft and develop players, and I got these numbers here. So, on average, for the Super Bowl winning teams, it's 9 or 12, Anthony.
So according to the article, it said of the 30 teams that they tracked over the last 15 years, they drafted 9 of their 20 starters or signed them as undrafted free agents if they won a Super Bowl.
I don't know how he says 9 of 20. It should
I'm
be
assuming
22.
that's supposed to be 22.
He screwed up that. But okay, so of the 30 teams that have gone to the Super Bowl over the last 15 years, 9 of the 22 are either homegrown players. They're either drafted or undrafted free agents. Yeah. And so the question is, do you think the Browns are heading in the right direction? I mean, first of all, I don't even know if I think that's high a number. That's less than half.
I think that good teams draft well.
Yes.
And I think when teams open their windows, it's because of drafting. And boy, you follow the Bengals.
Yeah.
And the Bengals over this century, over the lifetime of the new Browns, have been low, but they've been high. And when is that? When they drafted well.
Right.
The Carson Palmer window.
Yeah.
They got A.J. Green and Andy Dalton in the same draft. They drafted Geno Atkins, a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. Right. This is all in the same run. Mm-hmm. Right. So you have to draft.
Yes.
And especially now that teams are more willing to trade it, more than ever, guys are not hitting free agency because the salary cap has gone up.
Right.
And it means you don't let your own good guys out the door. So you get to year 3, year 4, you're either re-signing them or moving on, or maybe some other circumstance that just haven't worked out. But you're not letting so it's so important to have your own guys and to know them because there's quality free agent opportunities are so they just don't really exist.
No.
And then you overpay so greatly when they do.
I would have guessed that number would have been higher. But maybe the Rams skewed it down. I don't know.
It's tough because I think now what you're gonna see is the way it looks like college players are gonna stay in college much longer.
That's true.
So now those players are gonna be older players. The way it's set up, if you're a first round pick, you got 5 years of control.
Yeah.
So if you stay in till you're 23, you got 5 years of control. These dudes is already, you got their whole prime.
Right.
Like they got their whole prime signed up. If you look at it, it makes much better sense if you just keep it. He said the Bengals, let's just keep it to the AFC North. So take a look at what during the era of when, whether it was the Steelers or the Bengals or the Ravens were cooking. Look at the guys that they were able to draft, and you can see why the Browns were in trouble. The Steelers drafted Ben Roethlisberger. They drafted Hines Ward, right? They drafted Hayward. They drafted T.J. Watt. They drafted Troy Polamalu, right?
Right.
That you got all of these. You know what I'm saying? And then the undrafted guy, they get James Harrison from Kent State. And he turns into a defensive player of the year. They keep rolling these backers in and doing it. And in the Ravens, I mean, they go there. You have Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Haloti Ngata, Ray Lewis, Jamie Sharp. These dudes are getting drafted by the Ravens. Then they go and take Flacco. He wins the Super Bowl. Then in the same draft, the Browns have the opportunity to do something. They take the right quarterback and take Lamar Jackson late. And Lamar Jackson wins the MVP. So you look at not only the opportunity cost of what they're doing, they're drafting their players. Those players are going to be more cheap and affordable than guys on the free market. And the Browns miss on their draft picks and then get guys that they overpay for in free agency. Yeah. So now it's compounding. Now you lose it on both fronts.
Right.
And it makes a little more sense that when you got a guy that is good, they're going to pay more dividends.
And then you see, like, the Steelers haven't drafted quite as well in recent years, and they've fallen off a little bit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Why have the Bengals, besides Burrow getting hurt, not gone to the playoffs? Their defense stinks because they spent a lot of high picks on – they had drafted well on offense, and they spent a lot of high picks on defense the last few years, and most of them have not been good.
Look at what the Ravens did. They had that run of mid-round pass rushers who went on and got paid by other teams, and guess what happens when that happens? A compensatory pick, another mid-round pick comes back. So Zadarius Smith, who ended up finishing his career around here. Like he was in that run of the Ravens just finding guys.
Paul Kruger.
Yes,
Paul Kruger. Like, he does well over there. Then they leave there.
They don't have to play as rookies.
Right.
They play in the same system. They grow, they blossom, and then they either get paid by the Ravens or they leave. The reason that number is not hireable is just the natural attrition of this league.
Right.
The only guys on the Browns roster right now who are under contract for when the new stadium opens are these draft picks. And like everybody's excited about them, and they should be, but the reality is only 4 of them are going to be on the team.
Right.
4 years from now.
At best.
Even if it's a good class.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, why that's lower is because we've had teams stay at the upper tier, so then you're going shopping for that one.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to that upper tier by drafting.
That's
the
true.
Chiefs took their leap when they got Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
The Bills when they got Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And now, and everybody in Buffalo wants to run the GM out because he can't draft a wide receiver.
Right.
So he's out there throwing darts at DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Right. But like that,
you build through the draft, and then you finish it through free agency or trade.
In whatever other circumstances.
If you're building through free agency, you're going to lose.
When you look around this league, whoever's had that window, whether they've gotten to the mountaintop or not, it's almost always been opened by a run of good drafts. It's not just drafting the quarterback.
Right. That's
you have to, and then you got to have some monicum of luck. You got to, like, think about it. I was on the precipice of saying, the last time I seen this dude play, I said that JOK outplayed Myles Garrett against the Houston Texans in the playoff games.
Right.
Listen, JOK was the best player on the football field for the Cleveland Browns, right? He was dominant. Like, the light bulb went out. It looked like this guy was going to be the next wave. He gets injured and is finished.
Yeah.
This is like, he's on the precipice of being like, okay, I got Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I got JOK. I got Denzel Ward. Now, if you think about it, you're thinking in your mind, I got a guy at every level. We ready to go. Oh, by the way, we got Nick Chubb. Like, Nick Chubb is cooking.
And all these guys have been extended, too.
And so Nick Chubb blows his knee out in Pittsburgh. JOK gets injured for a career. Denzel Ward misses a couple games here or there, but he's the last man standing. You trade Myles Garrett. And then you thought, I'm going to go get the quarterback who had thrown for 4,000 yards, and we're going to put him in here. We're going to put him in here. And we got everybody else in their prime. And it just flamed so miserably. It just, like, and then those little compounding things just hit you.
Giving up all that draft capital.
And then, so now you talk about the draft capital. Yeah. Now all them picks is gone.
Right.
Now you got to replace Nick Chubb, who's injured. Then you talk about JOK, who was one of your best players. He's retired.
Completely irreplaceable guys.
What are you going to do?
Right, yeah. And you also have to have some luck in terms of hitting on late round picks. Like, you got to hit a few of those guys.
Yeah. Like, the Browns right now have no depth, right?
No.
They have none. And part of that is they have almost zero from the 24 and 23 drafts. That's really helped them. They have guys that are still on the route from 23. But from 24, they picked Mike Hall, who's played sparingly. Zach Zinter, who's played none. The most productive player out of that draft so far is the 7th-round corner, Miles Harden.
And they had MJ Emerson looked like he was going to get
he had a phenomenal first year.
And then he tears his Achilles in the contract year because he's not a first-round pick. He only got 4 years. He's like injured. They're like, we can't even sign him with the Achilles. He misses a whole year. It's crazy. Like, it just goes to show you the NFL is not for long. You need a lot of good things to happen. You need some luck, and I ain't gonna lie, the Browns ain't had none of that.
What's changed since they expanded these practice squads is that, man, like you're not just counting on, you're not just saying, hey, we need to improve guy 35, 40. Like, it counts who your 65th guy is, right? Like this waiver wire, this bottom of the street free agency guys you bring in to training camp just because you don't have enough receivers on a given day. Like, those guys, there's a chance they're going to play for you at some point. And of course, every team just turns them in and out, but the more of those guys you can find, the better.
Shout out to Gage Larverdane. He was lining up for meaningful snaps for you.
That's right.
Yeah, he was.
That's right.
To answer the question, though, I mean, as much as we've killed the Browns,
that's why you can't take Dylan Gabriel in the top 100 and just say it was a throwaway pick.
Even though they drafted well the rest of the draft, that was a wasted opportunity to get a good player.
Yeah. Any player at any position for this team because it's a rebuild.
Right. But overall, based on last year's draft and just on paper for this year's draft, I do feel like they're building talent. nicely.
Yeah.
There's a ton of work to do. I think Andrew Berry, outside of the last 2 drafts, had done a terrible job drafting and spending. I will give him credit, though. He drafted well outside of Gabriel. That was a big miss, but the rest of the draft is good. And again, it's on paper. We got to see it, but feel good about it.
Well, they found Ronnie Hickman, undrafted.
Yep.
They found Aiden Huntington, undrafted.
Yeah.
You know, they've gone shopping for guys.
Malik Collins has turned out to be a nice addition.
Yeah. In a year where you only could really afford to spend on one free agent, they got it right. The problem is now he's 31 and he's on this team.
Yeah.
Where, listen, if you're above 26 on this team, and you're not nailed down for multiple years, then I would be renting. I'd be leasing, renting. I wouldn't be buying.
I will say that they've done if they can be a fun team to watch, they've done enough to not have a situation where you feel like they tore it all the way down to the studs and didn't have, because I done been here, we done all been here when they tore it down completely. And it was like, I'm watching. What is this? This is UFL football.
10 years ago when they won one game, I feel like this roster right now is way better than that one.
Yeah.
And the foundation with last year's draft and a handful of other guys is way stronger.
Listen, this team as is, if they got middle of the road quarterback play, like the other day we were talking about, Earl had brought up that he doesn't understand why people can't be more optimistic. And I'm one of those people who's not optimistic. But I could see his point in terms of, if you believe that Shedeur Sanders can give, I think he had said that Shedeur Sanders could give league, he thinks it's possible to get league average quarterback play. Well, if he's right, now I don't believe that that's going to happen, but I'm not saying it's impossible. If it does happen, and if Shedeur Sanders does provide, and I think he's the only one of the roster that could possibly do that, but if he does provide league average quarterback play, could the Browns win 8 games? Yes, I think they could with league out. Now, if they get the same quarterback play as last year, they have no chance. But the point is, the talent around the quarterback is not horrible.
Yeah.
It's on the offensive side, very inexperienced. I'm not as convinced on the offensive line as a lot of others are.
Correct.
I know Warren Sharp said he ranked them 32nd, but who knows? That's just his opinion.
Right.
The point is, their talent is headed in the right direction, and it's not crazy to think they could be competitive, certainly by next year or the year after.
I look at it, and people talk about it specifically. Now we got to see what it looks like. But the talent, the profiles of the players are different. I've seen Quinshon Judkins play. I've seen him at Ohio State. I've seen him at his best here. He can play. I've seen what Denzel Boston can do. Now listen, they're rookies. They're going to have to put it together. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to have some dropsies. Somebody may come along a little later. But the key is, can you raise your floor? Before last year, we were counting on DeJuan Jones to be a starter.
Yeah.
Guess what? We're not counting on him anymore. We were counting on Jerry Jeudy to say, wow, if Jerry Jeudy don't show up today, we ain't got nobody to throw the ball to. Well, that's not the case this year. We at least have some other options.
I agree that the floor's been raised on the offense, but I think the floor's been lowered a little bit on the now it's still not that low, but
yes.
And the ceiling's been lowered on the defense. I mean, you again, on defense, you have traded the best defensive player in football. You've lost one of the best defensive coordinators, if not the best.
Mm-hmm.
Your defensive coordinator might be great. We don't know. But he's a first-year DC.
We don't know. And the thing about Schwartz is, you know what Schwartz was. You know what Myles Garrett was. You know what the defense was going to be. And they knew it so well. All they had to do was just go out there and play.
Yeah.
There's going to be some adjustments. If they can go from 13 to 18, I'll take it. 13 to 18.
This is all about continuing to acquire and develop the young
Yes.
players. That's what it's all about. We can argue about the wins, and we will.
Yes.
But this is all about maybe less acquiring now that we're in July, heading to August, but developing the young players, finding out which ones are really, really good and which ones that are in the middle are going to be here.